Hi, this is Abid. Welcome to our YouTube channel, GMAT and GR Instructor. Well, in this particular video, I'll be just talking about one of the most important and critical parts of GMAT, which is critical reasoning section. Now, in critical reasoning section, many students find, great sort of difficulties. Now, one of the things that we are to find in critical reasoning section is finding the conclusions. So I'll just talk about the trick, the trick of identifying conclusions. Now, how can you find out the conclusions? In critical reasoning section, there is background, there is premise, and there is some normal solid facts, and there is also conclusion. Now, how can you find it? There are some words. If you find those words before any sentence, then you can say that these are the conclusions. For example, if you find therefore and then the sentence, or so sentence. So if you find therefore or so before any sentence, then you can say that these are the conclusions. But what if there is no therefore, or there is no so, or there is no word like this that help you to find out the conclusions? Then how can you find out the conclusion? Now, guess there is a question in critical reasoning section where there is a sentence in isolation. Now, if there is a sentence in isolation, then how can you say whether this is background or premise or this is conclusion? Now, I'll tell you one of the tricks that I personally find is very much intriguing and is very much effective to solve or to find out the conclusion of this question is, let me give you an example to make it easier for you. For example, if I'm on the street and if a person comes to me who is known to me and says, "Hey, Abhi, I've chosen to study in business school for my MBA because I think it will increase my financial potential significantly." Now, if he says so, then what will be my rational, answer? This is the question. Now, if my rational question is, "Oh, really? What makes you think so?" Or "Why do you think so?" If it is my rational reply, then perhaps this is the conclusion. Or what he said is his conclusion or is her conclusion. Now, the thing is that if you find a sentence in isolation in critical reasoning section, then don't forget to ask one question rationally. And that is, what do you think, what comes next just after that isolated sentence? So, what do you think comes rationally just after that isolated sentence? It is the trick. So if I ask him or her that what makes you think so, or why do you think so that going to the business school will increase your financial potentials significantly, then if I ask that question, then perhaps this is the author's conclusion. Now, if that person or if another person comes to me, I'm on the street and just says, "Guess what, Abhi, I have just read an article, or I just came up with a study that says that the students who go to the business school for MBA, their salary increases 20%. Now, if he says so, then there's no question that I'll ask him, "Well, what makes you think so?" or "Why do you think so?" Because there is no question like that. Because he already said that what he thinks. Then my rational reply will be, "Oh, really? That's cool. Oh, that's interesting." So that will be my answer. So if I say that, then this is perhaps the fact, and this is perhaps the background, or this is perhaps the premise, but this is never the conclusion. So to say in within 2 to 3 sentences that if you find a sentence in the critical reasoning section which is isolated, and you are very much stuck whether it is conclusion, premise, or background, then ask yourself what comes next with rationalism. So if it is like that, "Why do you think so?" or "What makes you think so?" then this is perhaps the author's conclusion, And if it is not like, oh, that's pretty cool, or this is fine, or that's great, or this is interesting, then this is perhaps the background. So thank you very much, and if you find other problems with GMAT or critical reasoning, then don't forget to leave a question in our comment section. We will try to give you the best answer. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next video.